Hi and welcome everybody. We've all been there. We've got a car in the garage, we've got a jack axle stand, we've got the wheel off, we've got the wheel bearing out and we've got no grease. So we just get the general purpose grease and we stick that in and put it on. Can we do that? This is the question today. Greases, are they all the same? So I wanted to look at different greases available on the market. Do they stack up? What's in them? And are they interchangeable? However, there are hundreds of different greases for many different applications, such as food grade grease, aluminium, not aluminum grease, silicone grease, white lithium grease, to name but a few. So I've used Penrite for the examples, but I'm certain there are other manufacturers that are only slightly different. I only picked Penrite because they're an Australian brand and they're quite near to here in Dandenong. So what is grease for? Well, grease provides lubrication, a protective film between moving parts, reducing friction and wear. Unlike oil, it remains in place, ensuring continuous lubrication, even in hard to reach areas or during intermittent operation. It also acts as a sealant. It prevents lubricant leakage, keeping out contaminants such as water and dust, which can cause corrosion and damage. It protects against extreme conditions. Grease is suitable for machinery operating under extreme conditions, including high temperatures, pressures, shock loads and slow speeds under heavy loads. Its thick consistency helps to maintain its lubricating film even in worn components. Grease can be used in seal for life applications, like some electrical motors and gearboxes, where frequent lubrication is impractical. Cooling. While oil is better for cooling due to its fluidity, grease can still provide cooling benefits in certain applications, especially when formulated with specific additives. Film formation. Grease forms a protective film that can enhance the load carrying capacity and protect against wear, particularly in bearing and other critical components. Versatility. Different types of grease such as lithium, calcium and polyurea are designed for various applications and offering different properties like water resistance, temperature stability and load carrying capacity. Grease is an essential component in ensuring a smooth operation and longevity of machinery across various industries, from automotive to manufacturing to aerospace and to construction. So let's talk about the Penrite range. They've got 6 greases on their website. And the first one to appear is the 10/10 Power Sports Grease. Now, Power Sports Grease is water resistant, high temperature multi-purpose grease that contains special anti-rust additive for enhanced protection against rust and corrosion. It also contains a tackiness agent to provide increased protection during severe performance conditions, allowing for exceptional water washout resistance and spray-off resilience. Power Sports Grease is excellent for motorcycles and push bikes, for bearings and for waterproofing areas that are exposed and prone to retaining water and dirt that could potentially cause rust. It can be used on quad bikes, snowmobiles, ATVs and the front and rear wheel axles, as well as the front fork, steering bearings, shock absorber linkages and swing arm pivots. In marine applications it can be used on dog seals, trailer rollers, prop shaft splines, steering mount, general greasing points. Power Sports Grease can be used on wheel bearings, including those fitted with disc brakes, cables, throttle lines, linkages, winch gears and most other greasing points. Power Sports Grease is packed in a convenient 100-gram tube for easy dispensing, and so it can be carried as part of a small toolkit for on-the-spot jobs. It is translucent green and makes it easy to see, and it won't harm paint or plastics. Now there's some specifications here. Its colour is translucent green, as we know. And then there's a thing called the NLGI grade 2. Now this stands for the National Lubricating Grease Institute. Yes, there is one. And there's a measure based upon consistency or hardness. So 2 is consistency of hardness. I don't know what the scale goes up to. It could go up to 100 and therefore it's very soft. It could go up to 5 and then it's reasonably hard. Soak type, lithium complex. Grease soaps are typically classified into simple, mixed and complex. Simple soaps are the most common and are produced from a reaction of a single fatty acid and a metallic hydroxide such as lithium, calcium, sodium, aluminium or barium. Lithium soaps are the most popular globally. Complex soaps are a combination of a simple soap and a complexing agent like azelaic acid, which improves high temperature performance. Mixed soaps are produced by reacting a fatty acid with two metallic hydroxides and are less common. So base oil viscosity is ISO 220. ISO 220 refers to a specific viscosity grade of grease, indicating its base oil viscosity at 40 degrees C is 220 centistrokes. Remember we used centistrokes in the viscous coupling, the oil in there was centistrokes, and I thought that was 100,000 centistrokes, and this is 220 centistrokes. Timken OK load. Okay, 23 kilograms this. The Timken OK load is a standardised measurement used to evaluate the performance of extreme pressure additives in lubricating greases or oils. It is measured in kilograms force and indicates how well a lubricant can withstand high pressures. Now we've got the drop point. Now the drop point in this case is 275 degrees centigrade. This is the point that grease returns to a fluid from a solid and is measured in temperature. 4-ball weld load. They come up with some stuff, don't they? The 4-ball weld load test used to evaluate the load carrying capacity and anti-seize properties of a lubricant. This test conducted under conditions simulate high pressure and high load applications, such as found in a bearing, and in this case it's 315 kilograms. Now we've got the NCOR corrosion test, and the answer to this one is synthetic seawater 0/0. The NCOR test is a method used to evaluate the corrosion prevention or the corrosion preventative properties of lubricating greases under dynamic wet conditions. It assesses how well a grease can protect bearings from corrosion when exposed to water. Now if you've got a boat trailer, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. ASTM D6138. This test is a method used to determine the corrosion preventative properties of lubricating greases under dynamic wet conditions. It involves using grease lubricated ball bearings that are operated in the presence of distilled water, sodium chloride solution or synthetic seawater, which is the reason I've included this is because the answer to the question was synthetic seawater. Then you've got a continuous operating temperature of -15 to +170 degrees C. And then a maximum temperature under intermittent use of 180 degrees C. Okay, so the next one is high temperature wheel bearing grease. High temperature wheel bearing grease is an NLGI number 2, light blue coloured. So NLGI is National Lubricating Grease Institute. So this is the same, it's still number 2. It's light blue coloured, high temperature all-purpose extreme pressure grease manufactured from high quality base oils and a lithium complex soap thickener. It is formulated with the state-of-the-art grease additives to provide tackiness, excellent load carrying ability, outstanding resistance to water washout as well as effective extreme pressure performance and anti-wear protection. High temperature wheel bearing grease is suitable for all general chassis grease applications in automotive and industrial service, including in cars, four-wheel drives, trucks and buses. Now what I'd say here is, yes, you can use wheel bearing grease as a general grease, but you can't use a general grease as wheel bearing grease. And I'll explain why in a minute. High temperature wheel bearing grease is particularly suitable for use in wheel bearings of vehicles fitted with disc brakes as well as drum brakes, boat trailer wheel bearings and other marine applications. High temperature wheel bearing grease is also a highly effective industrial grease in applications such as rolling element bearings, plain bearings, medium speed anti-friction bearings, steel mills, underground tunnelling and mining and ore crushing plants, general plant lubrication and in agriculture and in construction equipment. Its colour is light blue, its NLGI grade is 2, its soap type is lithium complex, its density is 0.9 kilograms per litre at 15 degrees C. Base oil viscosity is ISO 220 again. Operating temperature range -10 to +170. Appearance is smooth and tacky. Drop point is 290 degrees centigrade. The 4-ball well load is 315 kilograms. And the maximum temperature intermittent use is 200 degrees C. Now if your bearings are getting to 200 degrees C, you've got problems. Right, the next one on the list is copperies. Now I use copperies, I use Penrite copperies. Copperies is a bentone based anti-seize NLGI number 1.5 grease containing micro-sized copper, zinc oxide and an additional synthetic base oil that will resist temperatures up to 1090 degrees centigrade. Copperies is used to coat flanges, threads, nuts and bolts that are subject to corrosion or seizure prior to assembly. To enable easy disassembly for service replacement, it is also ideal for exhaust manifolds, studs, exhaust clamps, turbocharger connections, spark plug threads and in drum and disc brakes assemblies. It can stop brake squeaking if applied to the back of a disc brake pad and is ideal for brake caliper slide pins. Copperies may be used in all types of industries including corrosive marine and mining environments as well as petroleum exploring industries and refining industries. Copperies is ideal for boat trailer wheel studs to stop them rusting and seizing. It can also be used on external hinges, flanges, screws, bolts, nuts and to prevent seizure and corrosion in automotive, marine, industrial, agricultural and general domestic environments. Copperies may be used at temperatures from sub-0 to 1090 degrees C. Okay, so it says soap type bentone clay. So bentone clay is a natural clay. It is formed, actually it's bentonite clay. Is a natural clay. It's formed from volcanic ash and is named after Fort Benton, Wyoming, where it is found in large quantities. Now, on this one we've got a thing called solid content, and it's 20%. This is the amount of thickener used to thicken the base oil. The thickeners also hold the lubricants in place when fluid lubricants would just run away. Base oil viscosity is ISO 460. This is the International Standards Organization, the standard that dictates the viscosity grade for industrial lubricants. So this one will be 460 centistrokes. The operating temperature is 0 to +1093. The appearance is smooth paste. Drop point. It has no drop point, it has no melting point. And the solidification point is -18 degrees C, the temperature at which the grease solidifies. And if we get to -18 degrees C, we're in a lot of trouble. Rubber grease. Rubber grease is premium quality NLGI number 2 general purpose non-harmful clay-based grease. It is specifically designed for use on rubber components in hydraulic systems where compatibility with the rubber seals is essential. It is also suitable for use with other rubber components such as gaiters or boots used on these systems. It is also ideal for use in the automotive tyre mounting aid. Rubber grease is also recommended in other applications where resistance to hydrocarbon solvents is required, such as automotive shock absorbers. Rubber grease can be used in the assembly of platen rollers used in the printing industry. This type of grease is used as a lubricant in the aid of insertion of the steel mandrel into every tight rubber outer. Penrite rubber grease is not recommended for the lubrication and protection of brake backing plates or plunger housings. Recommended operating range is -9 to +80 and the NLGI is 2. Right, moly grease EP3. EP standing for extreme pressure. Moly grease EP3% is an all-purpose NLGI2 high temperature grease. It features a lithium soap base with a premium quality base oil and 3% molybdenum disulfide moly for added extreme pressure protection. Moly grease EP3 is used for general grease applications in automotive industrial service areas. It is particularly suitable for use where grease is likely to be exposed to the weather or squeezed out. In these applications, a thin film of our molybdenum will provide some measure of protection until the component can be re-greased. Moly Grease EP3 is recommended for use on ball joints, kingpins and universal joints. It can also be used in CV joints as a general chassis grease. It is a highly effective industrial grease and may be used in plain bearings, slow speed industrial bearings, vibrating and wet environments, general plant lubrication and agricultural and construction equipment lubrication. The recommended operating temperature range is -20 to +130. And then we've got the last one, which is cam assembly lube. Now cam assembly lube is a special purpose sticky formulated with grease base designed for the initial lubrication of engine parts during engine reassembly. It contains rust inhibitors, oxidization inhibitors, tachiness additives and zinc, graphite, anti-wear agents to provide outstanding engine lubrication protection prior to and during the first starting of new or rebuilt engines. Its application. Cam assembly lube is recommended for its initial lubrication of engine components during assembly. These items include camshaft lobes, followers, journals, camshafts and camshaft bearings, pushrod tips, rockers, bushers, gears, thrust bearings and timing chains. Cam assembly lube is applied directly to the moving or stationary surfaces that come into contact with other moving surfaces that would normally be lubricated with engine oil once engine oil pressure is established. Only a light film of product is required, so it should be used sparingly. This product dissipates into the engine lubricant after the first start. Cam assembly lube provides the initial hydrodynamic lubrication and puts a lubricant barrier between moving parts. It can withstand loads of over 200,000 psi. So provides an excellent film of protection under extreme pressure and shock loadings from the motor. Cam assembly lube contains a tacky additive so it effectively sticks to surfaces while the engine is being built and therefore provides a far superior initial lubrication compared with standard engine oil that can run off parts during the assembly. Cam assembly lube has also been used most satisfactorily in veteran engines with exposed valves and valve springs as a means of protection against rust and corrosion while the vehicle is not being used. It should not be used on pistons as the graphite may hamper the bedding in process. So there's a few questions and answers. Can grease be switched? So can you use general grease to do your wheel bearings? The simple answer is yes you can, but you shouldn't. There's nothing stopping you from using it, but don't. Using the general purpose grease on wheel bearings is not recommended due to the specific requirements of wheel bearings. Wheel bearings operate under high temperatures and mechanical stress, which require grease that can withstand these conditions. General purpose grease, where suitable for a variety of applications, may not have the necessary high temperature stability and resistance to washout from water and other contaminants. Now, I may well have just told you that it's got those qualities, but that's Penrite. It's not Castrol, it's not any other make, and they may not have the things you need. For wheel bearings, it is advisable to use a high temperature grease designed for this purpose. These greases are typically made with lithium soap and have a high dropping point, allowing them to function effectively at temperatures around 140 degrees. They are also resistant to water, which is crucial for protecting the bearings from corrosion. And another question I have is, can you have too much grease? Well, yes you can. Now it depends on where you're using it. For example, in an enclosed space such as a wheel bearing, too much grease can cause major issues like your hub can explode, the bearings can explode. So if you overpack the bearings, there's nowhere for the grease to go. However, on an external component, then no. you cannot have too much grease. Once something is greased, then any more will just fall off and then be of no use. So the answer is yes, you can have too much grease. Factors to consider when using the correct grease for your requirements. When it comes to purchasing the correct type of grease for your individual application, it is best to take several factors into consideration prior to making the final decision. The base oil. The base oil represents the foundation of every lubricant, and it's worth mentioning that this type determines the overall performance of the grease in question. Three main types of base oils are mineral, synthetic and vegetable oils. Synthetic oils are considered to offer the best results in terms of performance, temperature and weather resistance. The next one is additives. Additives are used to enhance the features and qualities of each grease and boost its performance. The most common additives are extreme pressure additives, oxidization, rust and corrosion inhibitors. If you're going to use it on wheel bearings, you need to have an extreme pressure grease. Now, thickeners. Thickeners are used to enable all grease components to bond better, which increases the overall efficiency of every grease. Types of thickeners that are commonly used are simple and complex soaps, which are based on lithium, calcium, aluminium, sodium and barium compounds. In addition, certain non-soap thickeners such as are those based on clay and polyurea. These can be given consistency. Now, consistency is a property defined by the National Lubricating Grease Institute, used to determine the level of softness or hardness of every grease. Every grease is assigned a specific NLGI number that goes from 0 to 6. These NLGI grades are often used to express the level of consistency each grease has. So for instance, an NLGI grade 0 grease is described as very soft. NLGI 1 grease is soft, NLGI 2 grease is considered normal, NLGI 3 grease is firm, while NLGI 6 grease is defined as very hard. Viscosity. Grease viscosity determines its ability to remain stable and offer protection against friction. Higher viscosity provides greater stability when grease is exposed to heavy, slow loads, while slow viscosity is ideal for high-speed applications. So to sum up, as you can see, the type of grease you decide to use matters a lot. Each lubricant has a different set of characteristics that determine its consistency, viscosity, ability to prevent friction, reduce wear and tear, protect against rust, corrosion and oxidization, maintain mobility and stop water and other contaminants from coming into contact with the equipment. Take all these factors into consideration before making your purchase, and remember, the right grease for you is the one that meets and surpasses all the requirements you have. So that's it. Boring lecture's over. However, it's easy just to use the grease you have when in reality you need the right grease. All you are doing by saving some time and money is shortening the life of your components and causing a major cleanup if you ever decide to change to the correct grease later. Cleaning the old grease out is a nightmare. So it may seem a bit boring, but some people don't know about this and they need to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.